Most people spend a substantial amount of time of their day on media platforms. In fact, you may not even raise a question in your mind about the kind of time that goes from your day in actually engaging with different platforms, different apps on your different devices. Most people, in fact, tend to turn towards their gadgets as soon as they have some free time available during the course of the day. They would not even think twice before just taking out either their phone or their iPad or their laptop. In fact, even when you are having conversations with people around you, what you would end up doing is constantly glance towards your device to figure out what is really happening. Whether it is you're getting a text or a call, or it is to kind of go onto a platform to see who may have put up what post, what may be the conversation that is going on different platforms. Social media has become all pervasive. It tends to infiltrate our life in varying ways. In fact, we tend to rely for most of our sources of information on a lot of these platforms. The internet, the social media has become such an integral part of the lives that we lead. We don't even realize the kind of reliance we have on them. A lot of times, in fact, when there have been situations in the recent past where people may have experienced an outage on a particular platform, there is huge uproar around it. People just don't know what to do. You're not able to figure out how do you fit in your need for information and to stay connected in some other space. In fact, what you see constantly is that aspect needs to get fixed immediately. You're not able to necessarily just let it go. That is the kind of impact and involvement we have with the internet, with virtual platforms. We are not able to resist ourselves from staying away from them and spend time in engaging with the real world, with what's happening out there. Given the range of interactions that we end up having on these platforms, the kind of time that we are spending immersed on different media platforms, what we don't realize is that in fact it has such a significant influence on us in varying ways. One of the biggest impact it has is actually on the quality of the relationships that we are having. What we don't realize is that when we're in the middle of a conversation, you pick up a gadget. You become easily distracted. Instead of looking at the relationships that exist in your life in the real world, a lot of times you seek to connect with people on the virtual platforms. You tend to focus on what is it that is going on in the life of your friend based on what is it that they're posting. In fact, most of the information that you're trying to gather, whether it is about a particular topic that you're even studying, you will look at the internet instead of picking up a textbook and trying to go through it. We don't realize that we are constantly engaged to some gadget or the other. Our interaction with the real world has reduced. We do not look towards it. Oftentimes we don't even know what's going on the outside because we are so consumed with what is going on different media platforms, and we find it difficult to be able to disengage from them and to channelize our time and our energies on activities that could hold greater meaning and value for us. We forget about our hobbies, we forget about doing other things which are of greater value to us, and in fact we tend to rely on these as increasing mechanisms of coping, of being able to take care of our time, of being able to make sure that we are feeling good about the kind of life we are leading. And in fact, what we don't realize is often we engage in a lot of comparisons. We keep on looking at what others have or what's out there in the world and can feel a sense of deprivation about what we may not have in our own lives. In fact, we start following a lot of these trends and develop in our own mind ideas of what is okay and what is not, what is good and what is not, what we need, because we are consuming certain types of information which makes us feel that we need more and more of certain types of things, and it tends to structure our thought process, our behaviors, the way we are looking at our own self. In fact, it has a huge impact on the person that you are, the way in which you're evaluating yourself, your sense of self, your sense of goodness, your self-esteem, and that tends to be a huge aspect we are often unaware of. What we often don't realize is, in fact, the kind of ways in which we can assert our own control, our own sense of agency in the choices that we are making while we are engaging with different media platforms, while we are looking at consuming information from online forums. It's extremely important to start recognizing that you can make a choice. You have the ability to be able to decide What is it that works for you? You don't need to necessarily be a part of that crowd, keep on conforming to the ways the rest of the world around you is operating. It's so essential that you take that step back, develop an understanding of what is the real quality of life that you do want. Is it something where you want to be engaged more with the virtual platforms, or is it something that has a balance where you're also engaging with the world out there, the real life, and building on your hobbies, on your passions, on your interests, which would serve a greater purpose for you? Making that choice is crucial, but it will not happen if you're going to take that step back to evaluate how do you want to integrate that with the rest of your life that you have already created and constructed for your own self. But it's important to start taking out that time, introspect, reflect, make that choice, because you can make that choice. Take the time out to be able to figure out how do you want to build your own self on the basis of the kind of ways in which you're engaging with the real world and the virtual world.